the domestic violence. We call it Domestic Violence Sunday because they buy their drugs on Friday, they sober up on Sunday, realize they have no money, and they got to go back to work. The other part is doing that and developing the relationship with outside agencies to combat it. Get back with Fernandina, develop a relationship with them, the FDLE, your other agencies that are out there that we can deal with. A lot of by doing the combining efforts with the agencies that people don't know, even working with FDLE, especially in narcotics. Any money that is seized, we get a portion of. We just ended up getting a $150,000 check a couple of months ago from working with FDLE that we hadn't worked with in, I believe, it's 3 or 4 years now. So narcotics is a big problem. They go hand in hand with your drugs and thefts. And to combat it, we join forces with the other surrounding agencies to combat it, and that will, in return, help reduce the budget.
Okay, I'm getting the hook from Madam Chairman, and what I'd like to do as we go into closing statements, I would like you to consider this question, and if you can incorporate it in your closing statement, which I think you can, then go ahead and do so. If you've got a prepared statement that doesn't, that's fine. But the question and then closing statements, we'll start with Mr. Leeper. What are the key differences between you and your opponents?
I think when you're looking for a sheriff, you're looking for someone you can trust. It's a very important position in our community. Key differences between me and my opponents are I have a comprehensive plan to improve the agency. I have the most experience, education, and training of any of the candidates. I have served in public leadership roles such as the mayor of Fernandina Beach. I have a long history of strong, steady leadership, whether it's with the Florida Highway Patrol for 35 years, as a 2-term mayor of Fernandina Beach, as a business owner for 28 years, or a private citizen and volunteer within our community. And one very important difference is I have never been arrested, charged with a crime, or been the subject of a criminal investigation. Again, it's a question of trust. Who can you trust to lead the men and women of the Nassau County Sheriff's Office? And I know who I can trust, and I know who you can trust. And you can trust Bill Leeper to be that person. So I would certainly appreciate your support this upcoming election. It will be an honor for me to serve you and your family as your next sheriff. Thanks.
Mr. Hartley.
I believe the difference is that I have proven my leadership capabilities. I've employed and led hundreds, if not thousands, of people throughout my business ownerships. I've proven that I know how to succeed, and I've proven that I have passion for everything that I do. I've proven my fiscal responsibility, and I have proven my leadership capability. And I would like to go ahead and highlight, Mr. Leeper was a city commissioner in Fernandina Beach, and he was a 2-term mayor. But I'd invite anybody to go to the City of Fernandina Beach website and do a little research, because you'll find that in that 4-year time frame, revenues in Fernandina Beach declined by 4.5%, and expenditures climbed by 27.1%. I think that's really important to know, because as a business owner, I can't operate that way. I've never had the luxury of writing checks out of a taxpayer-funded checkbook. I've always had to have the responsibility to make sure that everything I did would clear the bank every time I had to write a check or cover a bill. And we talk about the leadership capabilities and the people that we've supervised and whatnot. I do have a position description of a public information officer for the Florida Highway Patrol, which is what Mr. Leeper served for the last 18 years. And I've highlighted it, and I'd again encourage anybody else to research it, but 4% of the duty, 4% of that position was to supervise subordinates. So I'm not really quite sure how much supervision there was there, how much we learned there.
Mr. Rhodes, hold on. Mr. Leeper, since he referred to you, you have rebuttal time.
Well, certainly, when you look at the budget of the city, you have to look at the votes, what was taking place, who voted for what. I think he's being a little misleading to everyone. So, you know, I could be on the short end of a 3-2 vote, and that would pass, which is what he's referring to. So, I was a leader in the city of Fernandina Beach as a city commissioner and a mayor, being fiscal responsible, making sure that your tax dollars were spent wisely and appropriately. And I'm proud of my service to the city. As far as with the Florida Highway Patrol, I spent 35 years with the Florida Highway Patrol, 23 years in supervision. I've supervised patrol operations, homicide investigation, drug interdiction. I've been an evidence custodian, a firearm instructor, and for the last 18 years, I served as a spokesperson for the Florida Highway Patrol, a position of trust. They don't put anybody in that position. You have to be trusted. And again, it comes down to trust. Who can you trust? When you go to vote for our sheriff, make the decision who you think you can trust to lead the men and women of the sheriff's office, and you can trust Bill Nichols.
Mr. Rogan.
Well, I think the one here has realized I am the youngest. I also think outside the box. I'm the only one that wears the bright colors, have the goatee, and go by the name of Bubba. So that pretty much sets me apart from everybody. But with that being said, I'm the only one that's currently works at the sheriff's office. I know what's going on. I know how to fine-tune the department to where everybody's working and you're getting the best bang for your buck. As far as leadership, I've owned my own business. I ran a service station right down the road. I ran a hardware store. And the biggest achievement of my life and career is that I've raised 5 daughters that are, like I said, in my opinion, they're real up there too close to being perfect. That's what I say in my opinion. But hey, she's married, grandson. She went to school on an academic scholarship at the University of Florida. The 3 other ones are in school. No one's ever been in trouble. That's leadership. You lead by example. You know, and I invite you to research me and check me out. Don't take my word for it. Don't take nobody's word for it. The other thing is the supervision. I've never had any stripes. I've never had any rank at the sheriff's office. But you can ask anyone who works with me. They will call me before they call the supervisors because they don't want, it's not that they don't trust the supervisor. They're trying to show that they know their position. They'll call me and say, hey, this is what I have. What do you think? My response is, I'm not the supervisor, call him, but here's the way I would answer it. 90% of the time, 99% of the time, they take my advice. So that shows leadership when you have no stripes, no nothing, and they're calling you, asking you how they need to do their duty.
Mr. Whitley.
Some of the key differences between me and my opponents is I have been a line supervisor with the sheriff's office as a lieutenant and a sergeant. I've been an investigator, civil process officer, evidence technician, narcotics officer, you name it, I've tried to be there. Like Bubba, a lot of times, I've even had lieutenants call me as a sergeant and ask me, how do we do something? Because they knew that I belonged to these, I was trained, I could be trusted giving them, a good answer. I believe that the military trained me. I was responsible for troops. They trained me to lead and protect. I've done that, both on the federal and state level, Florida Army National Guard and the United States Army. I've led an example with my equipment company. I've got 4 sons and 1 daughter, and my 2 oldest sons was basically my whole crew most of the time because people don't like to be led and trained. Well, they got to be led and trained because they became good, competent equipment operators at 14, 15, 13 years old. I mean, they're both became, great at what they do. They're military men. They follow their father. All 3 of my oldest sons were military. But 2 of them still are. If that's not leading by example and getting involved in our community and our country, then I don't know what it is.
Well, again, I'd like to thank the candidates for participating today, and another group of folks I'd like to thank are the family members of the candidates. Because if you've never run for office or have been related to someone who's run for office and tried to help them, then you really don't know how hard it is. And I know these guys have gone through a grueling campaign, a lot of tough forms, and they deserve a big round of applause.